watching The Nation this week, where we discuss the trending stories this week. And our panelist that joins us today, a huge list that we have here. Joining me right now, AZMI, HASSAN, Geostrategist from Nusantara Academy, Dr. PRABHJOT Singh SIDHU, consultant in Gastroenterology, Hepatology, and Internal Medicine, as well as my colleague GERARD joining us here to talk about The Nation this week. Trending topics this week. We selected a few stories that are stand out, which are, of course, Chinese New Year was the biggest news of the week. And we'd like to say kudos to the film and advertisement industry for doing their best in giving the whole unity conversation a bit of a push. And of course, unity doesn't mean uniformity. It was a comment by Shafika and in a radio interview earlier this week. Let's just start our conversation this week and weigh in on the topics I've mentioned. We will talk about a few other topics later. You know, we have PICKids that's going to be in conversation, as well as dengue. But let's start with Chinese New Year.
Right. Firstly, Kongi Fat Choi, everyone. Happy Chinese New Year to everyone. And I think the thing about getting panels together is, about all of us just doing our thing and just looking at what's happened throughout the week. But for me, the biggest thing this week is the fact that advertisers, like you said, advertisers, everyone who's in the film and advertising industry are trying to get on that unity bandwagon. I applaud them for the work they're doing. They're doing some fantastic work. Like it's Chinese New Year, but they're featuring a lot of Malays, Indians, non-Chinese. For some reason, things are taking a different turn. But I guess, we're still talking about unity, which also poses another problem. Haven't we reached that stage, that unity nirvana? That's my question, or at least that's what I think. I don't know about PRABHJOT and AZMI, but that's what I feel at this point.
I think we yeah. Oh, yeah, go on. You go on.
Oh, okay, sorry. Well, Mr. G, I understand that. I think it was then. I think during the 70s, 80s, I went to KGV. I'm sure you are very familiar with KGV schools.
Very familiar with that, yeah.
G. Well, one thing for sure, I don't like SPI.
I
know you're from SPI.
I think you should kick him out of the feed because he's bringing in school rivalry. Now.
No, my point is that when I was in KGV, my classroom is full of mixture of other races. I don't see other students as Chinese or Malay or Indian. It was then. I think what happened now is, I think, as you mentioned, Mr. J, I think we should go back to the 70s, 80s, that we don't see each other as different races. And I think during a festive occasion, I think it's a good way to instill this kind of spirit. Not only Chinese New Year, it can be Hari Raya or Thaipusam or Deepavali. I think it can be all the way. I think we can achieve that, except that I'm sure some would agree if I say it's because of the politician, I guess. They use this kind of factor in order to gain influence, to get sympathy. But on the other end, what's happening right now is that Chinese New Year, they say it's meant for the Chinese only, and also Hari Raya is meant for the Malays. I think we can go back where we were in the 70s and 80s, Elane.
Doc, your thoughts, Doc?
Well, yeah, I completely agree with that. I mean, certainly when I was younger, I'm showing my age now, of course, in the 80s and definitely in the 90s, every festival was a celebration for everybody. It was Chinese New Year, everybody goes to a Chinese house, Deepavali, Indian house, and so on and so forth. Everybody loved it, everybody dressed up. All the kids got their ang paos. And then I don't even think it's, I mean, my point of view is, yeah, does politics play a part? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But over time, everybody started becoming scared of everyone else. Everyone just decided, oh no, I have to protect my own. And how many of you even know your neighbors anymore? It boils down to that. And everyone's like so protective, so busy. Wait, your neighbor is a different race, religion. I think you can learn a lot more from them. And yes, it's degraded. It's got worse over time. But certainly where I live, it's starting to improve. People are calling the neighbors over, and if at least they send. I certainly even in Christmas we send our neighbor stuff. Even though I'm not Christian, but we do, and it goes back and forth. And I think yes, it's degraded, but it is improving, and not with. I don't think any particular push. I think people just want to get to know their neighbors again, because it's something that the stories you hear that they all got together, all the whole gotong royong thing has disappeared completely, isn't it? Yes. But it's all coming back slowly. It is seeping through, whether you want to see it or not. It's coming back. You'll get there soon.
I have to say,
yeah.
No, I have to say, because for me, when it's always very different. Everybody's sort of like, oh, if you're celebrating this festival, then I wish you. But I feel very differently. I wish everybody the festival for every race, whatever it is, whether you're Chinese, you're Malay, you're Indian, it doesn't matter, because I sincerely believe that we're Malaysians, and if we overcome that color, creed, and race thingy, we'll be able to live in harmony. And I think Azmi mentioned this. It is a political sort of game, but at the end of the day, as citizens, we all know each other, we all appreciate each other, and we all celebrate each other.
But also with that you're talking about uniformity and unity. We shouldn't see uniformity. We should see unity. One thing that's great. It's for me. It's just semantics at this point. No, call it whatever you want to. It's about people getting together. So they've got. I don't know. The Canadians say they've got a cultural mosaic as opposed to a cultural melting pot. Use whatever you want. The people need to come together, and that's more important now as we walk out of COVID. Or at least. That's what I think, Elane.
But you've seen that, haven't you, with the floods? People have got together.
Yes. Okay. I agree with you there. I agree with you. But that was with the floods. Will we see it once again? Will we see it happen in everyday life? Will I have to tell someone, or someone met an accident? Who? Malay, Chinese, Indian? It doesn't matter who met with an accident. Someone met with an accident. We need to start thinking that way. Yeah.
But shouldn't it be kind of like, instead of, everybody thinks, oh, why didn't that guy do this? Why didn't this person do that? Why don't you just do it? Just like Elane saying, you wish everybody Happy New Year. Last week in clinic, everybody, before they leave my clinic, I said, Happy New Year. Doesn't matter the Malay, the Chinese, everyone was like, Happy New Year. Everyone was wishing back Happy New Year. I said, I know New Year, official New Year is gone, but
I think we can start the conversation by wishing everybody a Happy New Year, a Happy Hari Raya, Merry Christmas. It doesn't matter what you're celebrating. Let's celebrate together. Now, let's quickly move on to the next topic in conversation. PICKids, the National COVID-19 Immunization Program for Children. I think this, of course, has a lot of conversation going around about it. It kicks off in the Klang Valley. It started on the 3rd, and estimated 4 million children aged 5 to 11 are eligible to receive the mRNA vaccine, which is, of course, a Pfizer-BioNTech, which will be administered under the program. In the meantime, Doc, perhaps you can weigh in on this. PICKids.
I knew you were going to start with me.
Who else?
Yeah, I know. I mean, yes, I'm a physician, but I'm a gastroenterologist firstly. But look, we're all involved in this thing. As more data comes, more information comes, the more we'll know. But it's a good start. What I like about this is that we are not lagging when it comes to the rest of the world. Action is taken fast. It's following with the existing data that is there now, showing that it's predominantly safe. And go. Yes, of course, there are side effects here and there, but you got to weigh it up. One thing you cannot ignore is the number of people that have been saved with vaccines versus those that were unvaccinated and unfortunately had bad outcomes. No matter what anybody says, you can't ignore that fact. Right now, Malaysia's quite fast in moving things along. So, I don't want to say whether you should or should not have the vaccine. It's up to you. You have the data. Certainly, this is the government push. Certainly understand why you're having the vaccine. As far as I'm concerned, would I get my kids to have the vaccine at the right age? Yes, I would. But at the end of the day, it's your choice. But get the right information. Decide for yourself. And please, if you don't have the right information, don't keep spreading wrong things. This is the worst thing you could do. It's all about saving lives, and at the end of it is for us to go on holidays. Finally.
Azmi, I'm sure you have something to say.
Yeah, I agree with Dr. PRABHJOT. I think the data is there. We are not lagging because in our cohort, I think the European countries, United States, have begun quite some time, last October, last November. I think the real data is there. But as Elane said, 4 million are eligible, but as of today, I think Elane or Mr. G, I think it's only 500,000, 600,000 has registered. And now that's quite a low number. Why I said that? Because we have been going on for 2 years. The data is there. What I'm frustrated, Mr. G, some artists, a very well-known artist said he or she want to see Khairi Jamaluddin's daughter first to get the vaccine first. I think Khairi Jamaluddin's daughter is 6 years old. I think I'm very frustrated hearing that kind of statement because the data is there.
Yeah, so I like this thing about people saying that they research things. Reading 3 pages in Google doesn't amount to research. It's not
Yeah.
conclusive evidence that's research. Having said that, I want to digress and have a special mention here for the government of Western Australia, making it is so difficult for Malaysians going back to study in Australia, because they have to get to Australia, isolate outside Western Australia, which is probably a different country within Australia itself, and then get back to Perth. So while all that is happening, no one's talking about the number of cases they're seeing on a daily basis. It's always Southeast Asian countries, the Asian countries. These people, are not doing well enough. I think as to where we've come, I think we've done well. We've got a ways to go, but we certainly are doing well in terms of inoculation or stats on inoculation. We are one of the best in the world. And I mean, just with the kids thing now, we just need to find that balance in the way we put information forward, or how we speak to parents about how it's going to be done. The last thing I need to see is for parents to be given a waiver to sign. No, we want to inoculate your kids, please sign this waiver. We can't do stuff like that. So there must be some conclusive data, and I think they're collating this data as we speak. Elane?
Yeah, there you go. But there are, of course, still parents who are contemplating and reluctant to allow their children to get vaccinated. So at the end of the day, as I think most of you have mentioned as well, use the information available, look at the data, look at the statistics, make your choices, make your decisions, and go forth on that.
I think can I just say one thing really quickly? Asmi, I don't know whether you agree with this or not. Unfortunately, Malaysia is kind of divided in the sense that you've got one group of people who's absolutely paranoid, absolutely fearful of anything that could potentially hurt them, and they go all out. I mean, they wear gloves on top of gloves, and then spray their hands, and then take a tissue and touch the lift, and then take everything out. And this is just going into a building. And then you got the other side who just think, well, the rate of dying is so low, I won't bother. And these people tend to not really get information. And then you, of course, got the worst group of all, which who gets the misinformation, doesn't bother to check, and being told this information by a social media influencer of sort, who's probably, as Gerard said, read 3 pages on something, and oh my God, now they've influenced the impressionable, which is the worst.
And they're like the experts now.
I think the situation in Malaysia is still okay as compared to the Americans. I guess it is much worse. They are tying with the vaccination and their political belief, their political ideology. But as Mr. G said just now, we have one of the highest inoculation in terms of.
No. Azmi, we cannot speak about the most civilized nation like that. Never.
Okay, sure. Okay,
now,
go ahead.
Since we're talking about this topic of social media, let's talk about the topic that you wanted to highlight, Dr. PRABHJOT, of course, with regards to something that you tell us what's on your mind this week.
Well, okay, so I read an article in the BBC basically saying that what do we do about social media and misinformation? Now, if you got some video that's out there on YouTube, what happens with that? Should these people be shut down? Should this information be taken down because it's kind of censorship? How do you approach this thing? Because at the end of the day, it's information. Where do we get information now? Last time it was, you're talking to people, maybe read the newspaper. And people don't even know what a newspaper is nowadays. Never mind a phone with a cord in it. People say, what is this thing? But how do you stop misinformation? And some of these things that was mentioned in this article is fantastic in the sense that it says a couple of things to approach is that you do not take down these videos. That is wrong, because then people will be even more suspicious why you're taking down these videos that's got misinformation. But it is also important for people to make sense of it. Now, there's a few things to approach with regards to this article, which is fantastic in the sense that you can leave the information there, but the algorithms must be there to prevent it from going viral unnecessary. Do not remove information, because it's important for science to see how things move along and so on and so forth. Another thing that people can do if it's a person who's particularly prolific in delivering bad information is removing the person's account. Now, we've seen this in the past. People got access to YouTube and no access to YouTube. Their follower rate or the distribution of information drops by 1,000 times. Misinformation. But I'm not just talking about the pandemic. I'm talking about even other informations in the past. But this business of tackling social media is actually very important. Just like you said, some artist once carries a child to have it first. Now, most of the time we'll be like, well, I don't really care about that. Kyrie is just another human being like everyone else, and he should be treated the same. But because of some artists saying this, and it's spread because this artist has a lot of followers, that's going to lead to a lot of problems. Now, you don't remove this thing, but there has to be a way to reduce its spread.
Yeah,
or at least to counter this.
There is your problem, and I'm sorry I have to interject here, but there is your problem. The same problem we had in the United States with removing Trump from Twitter.
Yeah.
Who makes these calls? At the end of the day, is Twitter supposed to make the call, the head of Twitter, or the Zuckerberg is meant to? Who makes these calls as to who stays on social media and who does not? Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. You
Also
do not remove someone. Yeah, you do not remove someone from social media because that would just feed the wrong narrative. It's just saying it's censorship and you're promoting your agenda and nothing else. You leave them on it, but there has to be some sort of control. You see, if it's misinformation, then you have to provide the correct information. If it's something that's doing harm, then you perhaps remove the user rather than remove the video. Information is important to everybody, good and bad. But you should not allow bad information to go wild without it having some sort of cap or counter argument to go with it. Information is important. I do not like censorship.
AZMI is chomping at the bit.
Yeah. No, again, if everybody is like Dr. PRABHJOT, you can analyze things, you can get rid of false information, bad information, then it's okay. Let's take the example of Joe Rogan in Spotify. He's trying to do something that's very, very dangerous. Not that he's trying to portray false information, but bad information. How do you deal with it? You see, it's very, very difficult.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt again, but again, the idea of Joe Rogan isn't about removing him or saying, oh, I will not support Spotify. No.
PRABHJOT needs more data. PRABHJOT needs more data.
No, someone needs to give a counter argument as to and create a debate with Joe Rogan specifically if this is the issue, and give the argument as to why he's saying what he's saying and what he's saying, is it right or wrong, and give a counter argument why your point of view is right, and let the people decide. We're all intelligent people, but we receive information in such an overload that the thousands of papers to read through, you can't get to it. But you need someone to take a lead for it. So particularly if it's COVID related, don't ask me. I'm not your COVID specialist. Ask somebody in infectious diseases or respiratory guy for a counter argument. But don't remove bad information. It just needs to be argued and you win that way. You don't remove it. It's just someone else to spring up with this thing. Say, oh, look what happened to Joe Rogan. Oh, look, they're suppressing us. You don't want an attitude like this.
But again, Dr. PRABHJOT and Mr. G, Elane, I think I like what YB Rembau Khairi Jamaluddin did to Lokman Adam and other ustads. He just sued them in court. I guess if come to that point, I guess you cannot remove them. You just sue them because of portraying false information. I think that's the best way.
So suing them because they're putting out false information, that would be right. But if you're suing them because you're in a place of power, then that's wrong. So always we need to balance this out all the time, I guess. Yeah. So I'm taking.
That's why the law is in place. That's why there are legal platforms for you to take, and the law will serve its purpose for you to go through the necessary process. There's sedition laws, there's libel laws, there's all sorts of laws for us to be able to fight this necessarily. Now let's quickly touch on the topic that you have in mind, Gerard. G, what's your topic this week?
Right. So we came across a piece of news yesterday. I don't know if you guys have read this, but some time ago, we found out that a Paralympian was selling tissue paper in one of the LRT stations, and it became big news. It was viral. And then, lo and behold, the minister came to her aid, and everything has been settled. Now, while I applaud the work of the ministry and what they've done, I really think, and I've been saying this for a very long time. For a very long time means I've been saying this for a good 20 years. When I saw the last generation of broadcasters just leave their jobs, there was nothing for them, nothing kept for them, nothing in store for them. Well, you can say, oh, they didn't plan for themselves, but sometimes, the jobs we do, and Elane knows this, the jobs we do, it is like that. I mean, the situation is such that we have to deal with what comes along. Having said that, I think we need to have a sort of a registry or book where we have the names of people that come under national treasure. So if you're a Paralympian or someone who's served the country, maybe AZMI HASSAN may go down in the books of history to be one of our greatest geopolitical analysts. So all these people should come into this register, and this register will do only one very simple thing. We know now that what PRABHJOT does, the healthcare industry is a very expensive industry. So anyone who falls under this register will get free healthcare at any private or government hospital. We can start with little things like that and then appreciate people who've served the country as we move along. There's only 38 million of us, maybe a little less, but I guess we can start there. That's just my idea looking at that piece of news.
I like that
and
idea.
it's sad, heart-wrenching to know that a Paralympian was selling tissue paper in an LRT station. Not that it's a bad thing. The trials and tribulations she would have had to go through just sitting there in the
Yeah, true, Mr. G. I think the Paralympians, not only the Olympians or Paralympians, I think they sacrifice a lot, especially all the athletes, and also, as you say, the media people. When come to a certain point, they have to go, retired. Same as me. Whatever you say just now, Mr. G, I'm already retired, so I'm nearly reaching the B40 benchmark. Because of my retirement. Okay.
Hello. I can be in the B40 benchmark tomorrow. That's my problem. I might be on TV today. Tomorrow, I might be working in the coffee shop down the road. Now, that seems to be a problem. There's no balance in what we do here, and that needs to be looked forward. We need to look into it if we want to move forward, because these people are going to write the history of the country and push it down to the next generation.
I look forward to having that national registry happen, G. Well done. A nice suggestion there. Now, I'll just quickly touch on some of the things that are making headlines this week as well. Natural disasters, first the flood, now storms. Of course, Ipoh has quite a number of freak storms. This was kind of unexpected. Of course, it's a sign. It's a time for the government to enhance, upgrade, and advance. A reminder for Malaysians to always be ready. Any quick comments from anyone? Azmi, let's start with you on that.
Yeah, one thing for sure, I like to confess, Dr. PRABHJOT, and also Elane, I never observe our Ramalan Kaji Cuaca, our local Ramalan Kaji Cuaca. It is so boring. It gave me nothing. No, to be honest, I like to watch BBC weather. Even though they never mentioned Kuala Lumpur, but I learned a lot from their weather presentation. I think a lot more need to be done so that we are aware of this particular issue. I think that's the problem with our weather Ramalan prediction.
Gee, looks like we have to up the weather sort of presentation on the news already.
I think when you come towards weather kind of thing, everybody knows what the weatherman says is never going to be right. It's going to be opposite. If it's going to rain, it's going to be sunny. That's what we all grew up knowing. Yes, they are much better at predicting, but they're only predicting. So the thing is this: disasters are going to happen one way or the other. It's about being prepared. Now, whether you have a big national input to prepare, I would say you have small local ones to prepare and then escalate as you go, as the requirement goes. Don't rely on the central government to provide everything for everywhere. You have your taman area first, your taman, the guys with the boats, the guy with their axes, all these sort of things available first, and then all the different tamans are there, and then what resources don't have, you move along, and then scale up to the next one, because disasters will happen. Now we've seen all these floods, we've seen the bad weather and things, and we think that's the end of it. No, more will come. Maybe something different will come. But if you're not prepared, doesn't mean everybody go into doomsday mode. No, but make sure the environment, or at least your local taman, there are people that are able to help in these sort of things. Maybe that should be a push towards that first, rather than everyone look after individuals. It's never
I completely agree. I think there needs to be sort of like a community as well as individual responsibility for us to be able to come together. There can't be a reliance on completely saying that no, the government has to do this. And by the way, we lost G for a while, so I think it was just the three of us. He's just gone on a holiday.
I'm back.
Or is this something we say to G again?
He went for a coffee.
Do we have more time?
Coming together. Sorry, Azmi?
Do we have a few more minutes to go?
Yeah, just have about a minute left.
No, I think our disaster structure, NADMA, for example, they work from the lowest level and up to the federal level. I think that's the way how it works, as what Dr. PRABHJOT said. But I think our big flood in Selangor, a few months ago, I think it's a joke for us, so that we must be aware of our situation, especially during this climate change, I guess. So it's not the fault of the people alone, but the government, the agencies that are responsible are also at fault in this particular issue. Elane.
Now, I have about a minute left. I'd like to be able to close with everyone weighing in on their views. Anybody has any last messages? Chinese New Year is, well, essentially the first, second, and second days are over. Just like to highlight to anyone who's traveling, please travel safe. I think there's a plus highway advisory for people to travel before 9 a.m. on the February 4th to 6th so they avoid the jams. I was caught in a massive traffic jam coming back here. It's insane. I had to spend an extra 2 hours and it was nuts. So if anyone is traveling back, do stay safe. Let's close. Doc, you have any last messages today, Doc?
Well, two things. One, KL has been nice and quiet, so fantastic. And number two, when you get back from your holidays, start eating more plants. It'll do your health wonderful.
Thank you. AZMI.
Well, some say that the plus information, the traveling time, is a false information. I'm not sure about that. Whether it's right or wrong, I'm not sure. Okay.
Always want to get on the wrong side of the news. That's me.
Gee, and for you, anything before we close today?
Yeah. So the weather is really bad. There are billboards all along the highway. Be careful. When the winds are strong, billboards will fly. Yeah. So think about that while you're driving.
All right, thank you so much, guys. We were, of course, speaking to our three panelists that joined us in conversation today. AZMI HASSAN, Geostrategist from Nusantara Academy, Dr. PRABHJOT Singh SIDHU, Consultant Gastroenterology, Hepatology and Internal Medicine, as well as my very own colleague, RATNAM. This has been The Nation This Week. Thanks for joining me, Elane. Bye for now.